Today we started with a new module, that is virtualization. Today we'll continue with virtualization. Hope you can see, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Students, yesterday we started with what is virtualization. Then we studied why it is required, that is the need for virtualization. Then also we saw the simple architecture of virtualization and the traditional architecture. Then this is the traditional architecture and the virtualization architecture. Then also we studied about why it is popular in the modern days, what are the reasons behind that, and what are the advantages of virtualization. And also we studied about the types of virtualization, that is application virtualization, desktop virtualization, server virtualization, network virtualization, and storage. Then after that we started with the levels of virtualization. That means when you look at the execution stack, that is the hardware, operating system, programming languages, and applications. So it is called as the execution stack. With respect to that, what are the various levels at which we can implement virtualization? So the very first thing is a basic level, that is at the hardware level we can achieve virtualization, that is called as hardware level virtualization, and that is very popular and most effective as well. And another one most popular type of virtualization is operating system level virtualization. After that we studied programming language level virtualization, then finally the application level virtualization. So up to here yesterday we finished, isn't it? Today further we continue with what are the major components that constitute virtualized environments. That is, there are three major components of virtualized environments. That is the guest, host, and the virtualization layer. Let us see what is guest. Guest is nothing but it's a system component that interacts with virtualization layer. So the example for the guest is, say already you have the host operating system. So suppose Windows as the host operating system, and upon that you have installed VMware Player, which is nothing but the hypervisor, that is the virtual machine monitor. Upon that you have installed Fedora operating system to deal with shell script and so on. So now your guest is Fedora and the host. Now in my example, the host is Windows machine, that is the Windows operating system. Have the bare hardware, upon that I have installed Windows as the operating system, which we call as the host operating system or the original environment where the guest runs. Suppose in case if I install the hypervisor directly upon the bare hardware, then host is the bare hardware only. That is the host. That becomes the host. We call such an hypervisor as bare metal model or type 1 hypervisor. We call it as type 1 hypervisor or bare metal hypervisor or the bare metal model, where we install the hypervisor directly upon the hardware. And the third component is the virtualization layer. This virtualization layer is called as the hypervisor, virtual machine monitor or virtual machine monitor. It is to recreate the same or different environment where the guest will run. So what to recreate? It may recreate the virtualized resources. See, now the actual resources are what are the components present within the CPU. Say for example, secondary storage, RAM, and so on. It will virtually recreate those resources for the guest OS. That is the task of virtualization layer. Look at this diagram. So this is virtualization reference model. The title of this diagram is virtualization reference model. You can see here the title is given here in the bottom, virtualization reference model. This virtualization reference model talks about the three components that makes the virtualization environment. The very first thing is the host. Host contains the physical hardware and the underlying infrastructure, which also includes storage and networking related infrastructure. That means processor, RAM, secondary storage, bus, along with that networking equipment. This forms the host layer, and above that is a virtualization layer. The task of this virtualization layer is software emulation. So here using the software, it is emulating the physical resources and creating the virtual copy, virtual image, and providing them as the resources to guest operating system. Say for example, upon the virtualization layer, you will install 2 guest operating systems. Now it has to create virtually 2 images of this underlying physical hardware, physical storage and physical networking. It has to emulate using the software, and it has to provide the virtualized image of those resources to the guest operating system. That is the task of virtualization layer. See, virtual hardware, virtual image, then upon the guest, what else we do? We install the applications upon the guest. The very purpose of installing the guest operating system is, upon that guest operating system, we are intended to install the applications, that is application softwares. There is no limit. Depending upon the machine capacity, we can install as many applications it supports, depending upon the system configuration that you have. Students, the takeaway from this diagram is, it's a virtualization reference model which talks about 3 major components that forms virtualization environments. That is the host layer, virtualization layer, and the guest layer. The host layer is to provide physical infrastructure, which includes physical hardware, storage, and networking related equipment. And the second layer is virtualization layer. The virtualization layer is nothing but it's a software which we call as virtual machine monitor or the hypervisor that will be installing upon the hardware, and its task is to create the virtual images of what all the components that are there in the host layer, then provide them as the resources to the guest operating system. You can have a number of guest operating systems depending upon your requirement. Then upon each of the guest operating system, you can install applications, and those applications will consume virtual resources. Who will provide virtual resources? That is provided by the hypervisor or the virtualization layer. Students, anything you want to ask about virtualization reference model? Hello? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Rizwan? Vishal?
Yes, sir.
Gangubai? Shall I go ahead? Now let us see what are the characteristics of virtualized environments. The first characteristic of virtualized environment is increased security. How the security is increased? Just let us go back to the diagram. Here, so here are the applications. Say for example, so someone is trying to hack the application software, and it is intended, and they are intended to search in the hard disk. So where the data is stored, they want to tamper the data. Let us assume that is their objective. Then if that is the case, they cannot have direct access to the secondary storage. Why? Because in between there is a layer called as virtualization layer. It will not allow those people to directly interact with the physical hardware. This virtualization layer provides extra security such that those intruders or the hackers will fail to directly access the physical location of the hardware components, that is storage or any other hardware equipment. So in that sense, it will increase the application security. Then apart from that, it becomes very difficult for them. Say for example, let us assume I have a dedicated server machine. Upon that, I have installed type 1 hypervisor, that is directly upon the bare hardware I have installed one hypervisor. Then upon that I have installed some 4 guest operating systems, say one Ubuntu, one Fedora, one Windows 10 and one Windows Vista. Then upon each of the guest operating system I have installed two application softwares. Now for the intruder it becomes very difficult to identify the exact application and its concerned operating system, and he has to hack the operating system. Before hacking the operating system, he has to isolate exactly that application is installed in which guest operating system. Then he has to gain access to the virtualization layer, which is once again very difficult. Okay, then it becomes much more difficult for him to get further access to the underlying physical hardware. So in that sense, virtualization layer always provides more security to the user applications. Then managed execution. Actually, there is a diagram for this managed execution that I'll explain through diagram. So the second characteristic is managed execution. Under that, there is sharing, that is nothing but sharing the physical, what are the physical hardware you have. Say for example, storage, RAM, network related infrastructure, and so on, that can be shared across multiple applications using multiple guest operating systems. Then aggregation. Aggregation, what is, yes, here is a diagram. See, this is a diagram that depicts managed execution. You can see here sharing. What you are sharing. See here we have, say for example, we have the RAM capacity. Say for example, 8 GB I have 8 GB RAM. So for this system 2 GB, for this one 2 GB, here 2 GB and here 2 GB. What we are doing, we are sharing the RAM. How we are sharing? That will be taken care by virtualization layer, that is the hypervisor. And here aggregation, that means, say for example, here I want to install one application upon the guest operating system, which requires a lot of computing capacity. So now what I feel, so one or two processors are not good enough, so I am grouping together multiple processors, means multiple machines, and aggregating and creating one single image, and I'm installing one application. So here I have installed one application. So it is getting the computing infrastructure from 4 systems which are combined together to provide service to this application. So this characteristic is called as aggregation. Aggregating the physical resources, then providing service to the upper layer, that is to the guest applications, that is called as aggregation. Emulation. So what is there here? This will be provided as virtual image to this application. Say for example, here I have secondary storage. So emulate the secondary storage and provide that secondary storage as image to this guest application. Now this guest application will assume that, okay, from here itself, that means from the virtualization layer itself, it is accessing the memory, but actually from where it will be accessing? It will be accessing from physical storage. It will be accessing from physical storage, but it will be having the image, it will be having the assumption as if it is directly getting access from virtualization layer itself. Then isolation. See, what is isolation? Say for example, I am reserving certain resources particularly for some application, that is called isolation. Say for example, here I am installing some Macintosh application. For that I want some particular resources. I am isolating those resources such that those resources cannot be shared for some other applications. That is called isolation. and this whole concept together called as managed execution. So managed execution means it includes resource sharing, resource aggregation, then emulating the resources, then resource isolation. So all these things together called as managed execution. So all these things are managed by virtualization layer, that is by the hypervisor. And the last characteristic of virtualized environments is portability. So what is portable here? Now I'll give an example for portability. See, I have say for example, I have two Windows guest operating systems. One is Windows 10 and one is Windows 8. Using the in Windows 8, I have installed one application software. Let us assume. Now I want to bring it to Windows 10. That means there I'll copy that application. Then I'll reinstall it in Windows 10. Okay, that is like migrating the application from Windows 8 to Windows 10, and still it supports. That is called as portability. When you have multiple guest operating systems, taking one application from one guest OS and installing it in another guest operating system, if at all, if that operating system supports, that is called portability. So therefore, we have three major characteristics, that is increased security, managed execution, and portability. These are the three main characteristics of virtualized environments. Now here, increased security is a little bit explained in detail. Ability to control the execution of the guest. So it is the ability of the hypervisor to control the execution of the guest. Then guest is executed in emulated environment. That means guest will be executed not directly on the bare hardware. Instead, it will be executed on the upon the virtualization layer, which is called as the emulated environment. You know what is emulation? You all have studied computer networks, isn't it? Tell me, what is the emulation? Recreating the environment similar to the original environment. Say for example, when you do network simulation, what you do here, there, temporarily you create network traffic as if it is real. That is called emulation. Then virtual machine manager, I told hypervisor is also called as VMM, that is virtual machine monitor or manager, both are same. Virtual machine monitor or manager control and filter the activity of the guest. It will also control and filter the activity of the guest. Then hiding of resources. Hiding of what resources? Hiding of physical resources. Since this virtualization layer hides the physical resources, it becomes difficult for the hackers to get access to the physical location of the storage and so on. Then it is having no effect on other user guest environment. That means, see, very important one aspect is, say for example, you will do some modification to one of the guest operating system. It will not hamper other guest operating systems. That means it is in complete isolation. Each guest operating system is completely isolated from other guest operating systems. That means one guest OS cannot communicate with other guest OS. Each and every guest OS is in isolation. That will be kept in isolation. So that is very important. Say for example, you have two guest operating systems, one Linux and one Windows. Say for example, the hacker will get access to the Windows operating system, Windows guest operating system. So that will not affect Linux guest operating system because both are in isolation. So managed execution types, already I have told. Sharing, creating separate computing environments within the same host. Underline, host is fully utilized. That means when you share the resources are always better utilized. Then aggregation. Aggregation is nothing but grouping together some of the resources to provide service to the virtual host. A group of separate hosts can be tied together and represented as a single virtual host. Emulation, controlling and tuning the environment exposed to the guest. The meaning of emulation, technical meaning, controlling and tuning the environment which is exposed to the guest. Guest means guest operating system and applications installed upon the guest OS. Then isolation, complete separate environment for guests. That is called isolation. And I told each guest operating system is in isolation. That means if you do modification to one guest OS, that will not hamper the functionality of other guest operating systems. And managed execution, this is done. Portability, safely moved and executed on top of different virtual machines. So that's what I told. When you have different guest operating systems, you can move the applications between guest operating systems. We call it as migration. Okay, that concept also you are going to study later. That is virtual machine migration. We call it as virtual machine migration. Then application development cycle is more flexible and application deployment is very straightforward. That means when you have Windows 8 and Windows 10, students, 1 minute. Students, I'm sharing the screen again. Yeah, application development cycle more flexible and application deployment is very straightforward. Okay, students, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes. That means you can say, for example, you are developing some application by using the guest operating system. Upon the guest operating system, let us assume you have installed JDK and you are developing some application, and you will see the trial run using the what is that, local host. So it is running successfully. Then same thing you want to try it on Windows 10. So easily you can migrate that application to Windows 10. Then if you feel, if you want to add some more functionality to that application, that you can develop using Windows 10 itself, and you can add it as an extended facility to that application. So that is called portability. That is one of the feature of portability. Then availability of system is with you. That means you can take a call. So you can decide when it should be available, when it can wait, when it need not be available. So because your main, the guest OS is in your control, so you can take a call on it about the system availability. Then taxonomy of virtualization techniques. Virtualization is mainly used to emulate execution environment, storage and networks. Then execution environment is classified into two levels. Very much specifically, execution environment. When I say virtualization and execution environment, it is classified into two levels, that is process level and system level. Process level implemented on top of existing operating system. That means the example for process level execution environment is the technique what we use in our labs. That is, in our labs we have Windows as the host operating system. Upon that we are installing VMware Workstation or VMware Player. Then upon that we are installing guest operating systems and further applications. So that is an example for process level execution. Then system level execution means implemented directly on hardware, which is also called as type 1 hypervisor or bare metal model. Implemented directly on hardware and not or minimum requirement of existing operating system. That means you need not have the host operating system. It is not mandatory. If you are installing the hypervisor directly upon the hardware, then we call it as system level execution environment. Now, taxonomy of virtualization. So here you have virtualization, and these are the resources. So the execution environment, storage, and the network. And if there are any other resources, okay, that you can include. Then, so any other resources means, say for example, processor, GPU, all those things. Those are also the resources that can be virtualized. Then, if you are already having the execution environment, that means you are already having one host operating system. Then you are achieving virtualization. Then we call it as process level. Okay. So then, what it will do? It will do emulation. Then high level, which it will provide the high level virtual machine, that is programming language. This column indicates the technique. What is the technique? Techniques supported by process level are emulation, providing the high level virtual machine, and multi-programming. So emulation means application level virtualization. Then providing the high level virtual machine means, say for example, say you are bringing some bytecode, and it will provide the JVM facility using which you can achieve programming level virtualization. Okay, say for the example for this high level VM is, so you have copied some bytecode from somewhere, and you are installing it on the guest operating system, and you are executing it by using programming language virtualization model. Then multi-programming, even the process level will support for multi-programming. So what is multi-programming? Yeah, executing multiple tasks at a time. So that is supported by virtualization model, that is operating system level virtualization. Then when you take system level, under system level virtualization, there are various types. The types under system level virtualization is hardware assisted virtualization. Later, these things are actually very important. These things are important, and we are going to study them with example in the coming classes. Hardware assisted virtualization, full virtualization, para virtualization, and partial virtualization. So we are going to study these things one by one with example. Then how to achieve this system level virtualization means, system level virtualization is nothing but it's a part of hardware virtualization. So you can see here the virtualization model. It is hardware virtualization. Students, here one thing you need to understand in this diagram, this execution environment. See, for the process level, it contains the host operating system. If you are achieving process level, that means execution environment, then here it contains host operating system. In case if it is system level, then here the execution environment doesn't contain the host operating system. It contains only the bare hardware. That you need to understand. Anyhow, you are not going to write this diagram in exam. Don't worry. This is just for your understanding. It's a like conceptual diagram. It is just a conceptual diagram. They will not ask this in the examination. Then execution virtualization. That means how to execute virtualization. It defines the interfaces between the levels of abstractions which hide implementation details. Virtualization techniques actually replace one of the layers and intercept the calls that are directed towards it. Students, here we need to understand one thing, that is, when you have one single storage and upon that hypervisor and multiple guest operating systems, then how the resources will be shared across multiple guest operating systems. That means here the virtualization layer will actually divide that storage into small chunks, and each chunk of the storage will be assigned to one guest OS. And it will provide the abstraction layer such that each guest operating system will assume that it is only accessing the complete storage. It will be having the assumption that each guest OS is completely accessing the storage directly. Then machine reference model. So this is the machine reference model, and here hardware is expressed in terms of instruction set architecture. Students, have you heard about instruction set? Hello? Have you heard about instruction set? Hello? Hello, I want the reply, students. Have you heard about instruction set? You all have studied computer organization, isn't it? What is that instruction set architecture? What is the meaning of it? See, instruction set architecture will define what are the instructions that are supported by that architecture. So what are the mnemonic codes that are supported, and it can interpret its semantics, that is the definition, and it will facilitate the processor, registers and memory to cooperate such that it can execute the operations. So that is the task of the instruction set architecture. Here the hardware is expressed in terms of instruction set architecture. So ISA for processor, registers, memory and the interrupt management. You can see here in the lower level you have the hardware, and in between operating system and hardware there is something called as instruction set architecture. This will decide, say for example, when the operating system is performing some operation, so that has to be understood to the hardware, that will be taken care by instruction set architecture. Then in the next layer you have operating system, and above that you have ABI. ABI means application binary interface. Application means application binary interface. It separates the operating system layer from the application and libraries which are managed by the OS. So, and it contains the system calls defined and allows probabilities of applications and libraries across OS. So that means the part of this ABI is the system calls, and it allows probabilities of applications and libraries across the OS. Libraries means what? The libraries, see, if you don't have libraries, then applications won't work. Libraries are like the backbone of application. Just like if you why you use header files in C programming. If you don't have header files, your inbuilt functions will not work. Similarly, the libraries for applications. Then at the topmost layer you have application. See, look at the second model. Here you have the hardware and the operating system. So operating system is interacting with the hardware by using the instruction set architecture. Then system libraries. So application is interacting with the operating system by using the libraries and API calls and system calls. See here, the system calls will come into the picture. So that is, it is interfacing between libraries and the operating system. Then if you, by using the instruction set architecture, libraries can directly interact with the hardware. Similarly, the application. So now you now look at the importance of ISA, that is instruction set architecture. See, if you use instruction set architecture, even by using the instruction set architecture, even there is a possibility where applications can directly interact with the hardware. So that is user ISA. So now let us see some of the keywords used in the diagram. API means application program interfaces. So it interfaces applications to libraries and or the underlying operating system. Then the layered approach simplifies the development and implementation of computing system. The layered approach simplifies the development and implementation of computing system. See here, there are two types in which you can implement the applications. So you can implement the applications by using this first model, and this is the second model. See, in the first model, applications are not having direct access to the hardware, whereas in the second model, the applications are having direct access to the hardware by using the instruction set architecture. So that all depends how you are developing the application and how you are implementing it. Then ISA has been divided into two security classes: privileged instructions and non-privileged instructions. Students, this is very, very important. When you say ISA instruction set architecture, it deals with two types of instructions, that is privileged instructions and non-privileged instructions. Called as security classes. Privileged and non-privileged instructions are called as security classes. Now let us see one by one. What are non-privileged instructions? Those are the instructions that can be used without interfering with other tasks because they do not access shared resources. That means non-privileged, we need to understand that non-privileged instructions do not share memory. Then example for that is arithmetic operations, floating point operations. Whenever the system will do arithmetic operations or floating point operations, it will not share the common memory, and such instructions are called as non-privileged instructions. Then privileged instructions. Those are the instructions that are executed under specific restrictions and are mostly used for sensitive operations which expose, that is behavior sensitive or modify, control the privileged state. Here the privileged instructions are further divided into two subclasses: behavior sensitive, that is which operate on the input output operations. That means behavior sensitive means input output operations. Then control sensitive means which alter the state of the CPU. Students, one thing you need to understand, non-privileged instructions will run in user space and privileged instructions will run in system space. So you have studied about address space, isn't it? So user address space and system address space. Non-privileged instructions will execute in user address space and the privileged instructions will execute in system address space. Anything you want to ask, students? Gangubai, Vishal, Manisha? Hello? Can you hear me?
No, sir.
Can you hear me? Anything you want to ask? Instruction set architecture and privileged and non-privileged instructions. We'll stop it here. Further, we'll continue tomorrow. One minute, I'll take the attendance.
Sir, Arjun, sir. Hello? Sir?
Students, right now I don't have the attendance register with me. You do one thing. You can type your names in the chat window. That will be considered as attendance. Everyone, type your names or USN. Better type your USN.
Sir,
Last digit.
sir,
01. Yeah.
sir, Arjun, sir.
Yes, Arjun.
Sir, can you give assignment now only because we are free, sir, now. So we can write and complete it.
Okay, then by tomorrow I'll message it to you.
Yeah, sir.
Okay. And also I'll send the notes. And PPT you can download from SlideShare. You
Okay,
have the
sir.
URL, right?
Yeah, sir. Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone type your USN. After typing the USN, you can leave the meeting. What do you have next hour? Hope everyone typed your USN. Thank you, students.